So while I have this Nissan Armada in the shop, I thought I'd take the opportunity to kind of go around it and point out some of the common problem areas that you might find with one of these, or an Infinity QX80. I popped the hood, so that's why that's slightly up there. But these are great vehicles, very large SUVs, V8 power, very luxurious on the inside. This one in particular is decked out with the leather and all of the bells and whistles. Nice captain's chairs here, and although it's folded down, third row seating. So a very spacious vehicle. They really do not have a ton of problems, but they do have a few common problem areas, and so I'll go over those here in a second. Go ahead and start under the hood, and as you can see here, we've got the big 5.6 liter V8, a very good engine. Not a ton of problems with these. One of the things that people do commonly have go wrong is the starter will eventually give out. Now that's a wear and tear item. Most cars have that problem, but on this one, the starter lives underneath the intake manifold, so this top portion, this black plastic intake manifold, has to be removed to get to it. It's really not that bad, but just something that commonly does go wrong with these. The other thing that people commonly see that there's a problem with is the alternator, and it lives right down there. So that's a little bit of a booger to get to from up here. But again, a wear and tear item. Almost all old cars have problems with starters, alternators, water pumps, things like that. The other things that people have seen issues with on these V8s is that if they are a direct injected engine, gasoline direct injected. This one is not. This one actually has fuel injectors on the intake, but the newer ones, I think after 2015, 2014, somewhere in that time frame, they went to direct injection. Well, when you do that, you're no longer cleaning by spraying gasoline on the backside of the valves. You're no longer cleaning the carbon off of them, so those intake valves can get a little bit of carbon baked up on to the back side of them. So carbon cleaning of the intake valves is something that you might be looking to do on one of these in the later models. Another common area of concern on the early direct injected models is timing chain stretch. And so the timing chain goes around the front of the engine here and goes up to the camshafts and down to the crankshaft. And on the early direct injected ones, they put a high pressure fuel pump run off of this bank timing chain over here, and it would induce a little bit of stretch into that timing chain, and so that was something that could cause a problem and need to be addressed. So like most cars, when they get a lot of miles on them, then you may need to get under there and change the transmission fluid and filter. And so again, that's not uncommon, but that's something you're going to want to do with these. And once they get a lot of miles on them, some people have complained about the transmissions going out, but you're going to find that with just about any car. So I wouldn't call that a problem, but just something to keep up with as part of the maintenance. The next thing that I would mention on these, they're very big vehicles, and so there's a lot of weight riding on the wheels, and occasionally the wheel bearings will go out on these things, and that is the problem with this one. And the reason why it's in the shop today is we have a bad wheel bearing in the rear on the right side here. And the way that we know that is, and I'll show you a short clip, is you'll hear the noise, that roaring noise of that wheel bearing, which gets louder and louder with speed. All right, I'm starting to hear a little bit of noise, kind of a roaring sound. And it kind of sounds like it's coming from the front, and then it kind of sounds like it's coming from the back, but it's definitely coming from the right side of the vehicle. Now, one of the things you might wonder is, how do I know it's the wheel bearing and not the transmission or something like that? Well, let me show you. If we go like this, see that noise goes away. Louder when we turn right, goes away when we turn left. So that tells you that it's one side or the other of the vehicle that's making that noise. Now, just because you load up the right side doesn't mean it's the right side wheel bearing that's got a problem. The next area that I'll talk about that has occasionally some problems on these is the leveling suspension. So these are high-end vehicles, and they put self-leveling shocks on, especially the rear here, and occasionally those things will go out. See, they've got these little arms that measure the height, the right height of the thing, and then it will adjust the shock which lives back there. And so occasionally those air shocks will go out, or the compressor here will go out, things like that, and then it'll sit kind of funny. Those are just things to look for whenever you're evaluating one of these. You know, just make sure that it sits level, that the back end's not sunk down. And other than that, these things are wonderful vehicles. They're very reliable. That V8 that's in here, even though it uses a little bit more gas than some other engines, it's a very reliable, very powerful engine. And you feel the power, you feel that sort of comfort of knowing that you can get up and get out of the way if you need to with that big engine in this thing. And even though it's a big car, that engine carries it very well. To the interior now, and let's look at how this has held up. This has got 180,000 miles. So the leather, the vinyl looks to be in great shape. See a little bit of wear from where the guy's heel has rested in one place while he's ridden, but the seats have worn very nicely. Looks like there was a little bit of a rip repair on an armrest here, but in general, very, very clean. Not a lot of problems here that I can see. This was used by a family, and so, you know, you're going to have a few spills and stains and things like that, but the leather has held up very well. All of the features seem to work. You know, a few scratches here and there, but overall the dash is not cracked or faded. This is a, you know, black dash. Sunroof, everything seems to work. These things are very spacious, very nice to have the automatic opening and closing rear door. Again, even though they probably hauled many things around in here, very good shape. Everything has held up very well for a vehicle that's been used very heavily by a family for 180,000 miles. So let's take a walk around the exterior of this vehicle. It's got 180,000 miles, been used obviously quite a bit. And so let's see how it's held up over time. You can see that there's been, you know, a number of rock chips that have taken a little divots out of the hood here, but it's not like the whole thing's peeling off because of it or anything like that. Plastics have held up well, fog lights still intact. Few scratches here and there, as you might expect from an older vehicle, but again, everything is still tight. I don't feel or hear rattles. There's not a lot of wind noise in the inside. The thing has held up very well. Don't think that the guy has used it much for towing, but it's got a nice heavy-duty tow hitch on it. Wheels look in great shape, so obviously he's not running over a lot of curbs with this thing, but again, this thing has held up very well. All right, time for the final say. Would I recommend buying a used Nissan Armada, Infinity QX80, whatever? Yes, I would. I would not be afraid of a well-maintained one of these vehicles with, you know, anywhere up to 150,000+ miles. Again, you need to make sure that it has been well maintained. There are very few areas where they fail, as I pointed out, and they appear to hold up very well. Thing rides nice. The engine has plenty of power, even for the large third row SUV. I would not hesitate to own one of these. They're still a very stylish, I think, good looking vehicle. And this one is a 2013. For its age, it has lots of bells and whistles, and they are relatively affordable, especially when they start getting the mileage that this one has on them. So hopefully you guys learned a lot from this. If you're in the market for one of these things and you're wondering, is it going to be a money pit or anything like that? I would say no. I would say that these are very reliable vehicles with good maintenance. So if you're looking to buy one of these things, I would not hesitate to go out there and find you a good one.